Hey viewers, please don't forget to subscribe if you like the channel. Let's go.
Hello, welcome to today's episode where we delve into the complex and often tumultuous world of relationships. Whether you're in a relationship or single, these stories are sure to inspire and resonate with you. So sit back, relax, and let's listen to some heartwarming and thought-provoking tales of love, life, and relationships. Story 1. Title: Struggles in a Long-Distance Relationship. Christian man cheated on after 22Y married. I am 47M and married for 22Y. I have always told my wife that we always have had the ghost of her first HS boyfriend. He is an alcoholic. Parents, stepmom, ex-wife, all left him, without anyone to help him and almost dying. My wife came to me and asked if I would be okay if she would help him since no one would help him. I told her I didn't like it. As her husband, I didn't like it, but I trusted her, and as a Christian person, it was the right thing to do. He was able to secure a job with Duke Power after few years. Got his life back. My wife anagram is a 2. She loves to help needy people. And that was him. Many times getting drunk, so my wife would be worried and help him. Fast forward 6 years to 2022. My wife and I have been working on our marriage for a couple of months. Everything seems perfect. We are happy. She stopped talking to him. All fine. This Sunday, 01/29, my wife tells me that she had something important to tell me. She says that because she is going to Israel on Tuesday and is getting baptized on the Jordan River. She had to confess that she slept with him 3 times throughout the years. She wanted to come back cleansed. She had to be honest. While I get that she could have been quiet and I would have never known, she was bold and willing to face the consequences. The ground was stripped away from me. I was given no time to fight, to vent, to complain. She left me in this mess 2 days after dropping the bomb on me. Anyway, I am mad. Pissed. Hating her for what she did to me and our family. I want revenge. I won't give her the same payback. That is how you know the principles you hold dearly are gone. She is not returning from Israel until mid-Feb. My kids are all disappointed at her. I am meeting a divorce attorney Monday 02/06. I keep asking her if it was worth it. She cries. And while I have to admit that she was bold, as she didn't have to confess. Anyway, this post shows how much we can change and throw away principles that we hold dearly. I all want is to make her feel the same pain that I am feeling. Unfortunately, revenge is the word that comes to my mind over and over again. As we delve into the stories shared with us, it's important to keep in mind that everyone's experiences and perspectives are unique. What one person may see as a problem, another may see as a solution. Let's hear what others have to say about these intriguing tales. Poncho_2504 wants to say this. She was bold because she thinks taking a bath in a river will absolve her of her guilt and sin. That's fine for her. She gets to fool herself into thinking everything is great because God will forgive, but what about you? Who helps you recover from the trauma her actions have inflicted on you? Revenge won't help. If you go that route, you'll be in pain from the infidelity and in pain from the knowledge that you gave into your base desires and compromised your morals for a momentary sense of payback. You get to define who you are. Don't let the actions of others do that for you. Life YOGURTCLOSET 98 says. She forced you to help someone you didn't want to. She kept him in both of your lives without you wanting to. She indulged herself multiple times knowing what it would do to you, and although she confessed the only reason you didn't suspect her was because of the absolute trust she chose to destroy. She had you help uplift a man that she harbored desire for, and she looked you in the eyes every day as if she did nothing wrong. Free yourself from her and her selfish desires. Even her confessing was a selfish desire for her baptism. She cares only about what she can get. Sorry this happened op. Revenge is bad, but making them repent is not. Consequences to actions is not revenge. As long as you do what you must, and don't seek joy from it, just redemption for yourself. Good luck. Drink a lot of water, focus on yourself and self-care. Take up a new hobby or get active to achieve positive dopamines. My own suggestion for this guy. It sounds like you are going through a very difficult and emotional time in your marriage. It's understandable that you feel betrayed and hurt by your wife's actions, and it's important to give yourself time to process and work through your feelings. However, seeking revenge is not a productive or healthy way to address the situation. It's understandable that you feel a strong desire for payback, but it will only lead to further pain and harm for both you and your wife. Instead, it may be helpful to focus on finding healthy ways to cope with your emotions and working towards resolving the issues in your marriage. In cases like these, seeking the support of a professional therapist or counselor could be beneficial in helping you navigate and process your feelings, as well as work towards finding a path forward in your relationship. They can provide a safe and neutral space for you to work through your emotions and develop healthy coping mechanisms. Ultimately, it's important to remember that reconciliation and forgiveness can be a long and difficult process, but it's one that can lead to growth and healing for both partners in the relationship. Story 2. Title: Communication Breakdown in a Marriage. Key points. The couple is facing challenges in their communication. They are having difficulty resolving conflicts and understanding each other's perspectives. They are considering therapy as a means of improving their communication and resolving their issues. Okay, now the story. Venting. Opening marriage years after adultery. I 36 am putting this down mainly to organize my thoughts and hear some feedback in advance of having a long conversation with my wife 31F. Considering she works restaurant hours and we have our son in the house, we don't have a lot of time for an extended, private conversation. This situation requires a bit of backstory. I have struggled with major depression for all of my adult life. During one particular acute phase of my depression maybe 4 years ago. When referring to this part of our relationship, my wife and I refer to this as the dark times. I got cold and hard inside, and couldn't reciprocate the love my wife was giving. I was distant and emotionally neglectful. I said hurtful things that I now know have stuck with her for years. I ignored her feelings because my own were so locked down that my only focus was getting through each day. I rejected her in the bedroom repeatedly. I was unable to summon up any interest in sex for at least 6 months. My physical health had deteriorated as well. A few times she talked about us getting counseling, but I was too far into my own depression to see what was crumbling around me. She started going out to bars, ostensibly with her coworkers after closing. I never questioned the times she came home drunk, when she was drinking 2 bottles of wine a day on her days off. Eventually she issued an ultimatum, gave me a month to improve myself or we would get a divorce. I was so dead inside that during that conversation, I didn't fight for the marriage, didn't argue, just said okay. I started getting help with my physical and mental health, and began the slog of pulling myself out of my depression. I wanted to get a read on my wife's thoughts of my improvements. So I looked through the group chat with her friends on a messaging app that she was also signed into on her computer. As you can guess, this was D-Day. Comments in this discussion led to the conclusion that there was something going on. This led me to a series of snooping trips through her map's history, and I found that she had been to this guy's house multiple times. To make this long backstory a little shorter, I confronted, she didn't deny, we went to marriage counseling for a little bit. Her why was acceptance and love in the face of rejection. We both got a dose of admonition from the counselor that feelings are terrible decision makers, our relationship heals. Fast forward. This past September, we bought a home. We moved further away from her family and friends. Long Island real estate is just completely unaffordable and closer to some of my family. She is working in a restaurant, I work in customer service calls from home. Between her restaurant hours and time together with family, there's no opportunity for her to make friends outside of work. The talk of swinging came up a few times over November and December. This wasn't initially suspicious to me considering it came up as a hypothetical during conversations about one of her friends that is in an open relationship. Eventually, I agreed that I would be interested in the possibility. We didn't talk further at this time. At the time, I thought this was a hypothetical opening conversation that we would reapproach someday with a full dialogue, discussion of expectations and boundaries. On Christmas at my brother's house, I was taking a picture using my wife's phone when she got a text from one of her coworkers. "I can't wait to taste you." I was way caught off guard, and asked her, "What is he texting you?" She grabbed the phone away from me. She was sitting across from me, but I could tell exactly what she was doing with the phone, taking a screenshot and then deleting texts. Later during Christmas, she quietly told me that that text was about what we were talking about the other day. I explained that it took me very much by surprise. She said something about crying once we had made this decision because she was sad that one person me couldn't give her everything. I tried being okay with this, but we had a few more conversations. One gave me more explicit details, including that they had activities in the office at their work. Another time she said that he was a FWB, nothing more, and that she wasn't seeking to fill something that was missing from our relationship. She still very much loved me, and that it was the newness and the draw of being pursued for once she was the pursuer in our, and in almost all of her previous relationships. At first that made me feel better. Due to a whole bunch of drama at her job, the guy was let go. That also kinda made me feel better. Then as I thought more, I started to feel worse every time she went out of my sight. My depression kicked back into high gear. I'm trying to fight it with medication, but those meds take time before balancing out. My wife asked me what to do too, and I told her I needed time to decide what to do. She was definitely upset at the possibility of cutting off all communication with the guy, and I understand. She has made very few connections with other people, and this is one of the few. Eventually I asked that we close the marriage back up, but I did not ask her to cut all communication with the guy, and she agreed to that with no hesitation. For the past 2 weeks, I've snooping through her texts and messages frequently, but I know for a fact that she has deleted things, because I don't see the text from Christmas that I know I saw as it came in. I'm kinda losing my mind, and thinking of paying stupid aminuts of money for a subscription to one of those apps that spies on a phone to have a record of things that might get deleted. I have a few things running through my mind that are gonna be talking points in the upcoming conversation. Swinging, open relationships, and polyamory are not all the same thing. Wife swapping, group sex, and hookups at sex parties attended together as swinging. Having a guy on the side is not the same thing. I would not be surprised to find that my wife didn't know that the terms aren't interchangeable, but it still makes me feel deceived. She talked with him about some of the things I said during the dark times that had stuck with her, which I know she should be free to talk about trauma with others, but she never brought it back up to me. It feels like something we should have been working on together, and also something that shouldn't be shared with another partner. There were some, "Good morning, how are you?" type texts that are the kind of thing you text a boyfriend, not a regular friend. Is it FWB or is he a boyfriend on the side? I thought that my consent to swinging was an invitation to a longer conversation about what we envisioned for us. In the time between that initial consent and Christmas, I was thinking about what I envisioned as a not fully monogamous relationship I would like be comfortable in. And I was doing research on non-monogamous relationships and how people make it work. But we never got to set those boundaries or have a real conversation about it. She had texted him something along the lines of, "We talked and my husband said yes, so we're okay if anything happens," which feels to me that something was going to happen one way or another, and I certainly feel manipulated into agreeing. In her texts with him, she told him that I was no longer okay with things being open. He seemed to reply, "I understand." But, again, she had deleted previous texts, so. Did she delete a text saying, "So we have to sneak around instead"? She said she cried because one person couldn't give her everything she needed, but then she said she wasn't missing anything in our relationship. I can't reconcile those statements. Even if I ask her to cut all ties, is that going to make me feel any better? Have there been other work, friends, from her previous jobs that I don't know about? I can't tell how much is reasonable suspicion and where the line for paranoia is. Geez, this turned out way longer than I thought. If anyone actually reads this whole thing, I'd appreciate some thoughts. Let's delve into the experiences and perspectives of others as they react to the heart-wrenching story of a strained relationship plagued by infidelity and lack of communication. Mixture Recording 4911 has this to say. No offense, but you have never dealt with the fact she has no morals and doesn't respect you at all. You also don't even seem at all cognizant of that. You also have energy held her accountable at all. Swinging, open, poly, none of that will ever help. You need to leave her because you are not capable of what it takes to make a real reconciliation work. I feel terrible for you. I don't want to pour salt onto an open wound, but this is two types of problems that will just keep feeding each other. Step 1, leave. Step 2, realize you are not at fault for her cheating. Not even 1%, not at all. Step 3, work on being independent and make sure the next person you accept into your life complements who you already are and is not someone you just become dependent on for your own mental health needs. OK_investigator 9547 joins here. Imagine you talked to her today, that you think it would be great to buy an RV someday and travel the country. Then you show up tomorrow in a brand new RV, having quit your job. Do you think she would be happy? No. She would yell and cry. We never discussed any of this. How could you just jump into things without talking to me first? Would you count the previous day's discussion as sufficient? I'm sure she wouldn't. This is basically what she did to you. She casually dropped an idea of open marriage, probably because she had him lined up, already sleeping with him, and just took off like a rocket. Personally, I don't see any hope for your relationship. She has past hurts she's held on to, and now you have fresh wounds to deal with. She's so messed in the head that one person couldn't give her everything she needed, but then she said she wasn't missing anything in our relationship. That's not someone capable of a healthy relationship. Don't let her guilt you into staying, especially because your marriage effectively doesn't exist anymore anyway. My opinion for this guy. It sounds like you have a lot of concerns and emotions going on right now in regards to your relationship with your wife. Infidelity and communication are serious issues that can take a significant toll on a relationship. While it may be tempting to snoop, it's important to have open and honest communication with your spouse. Sneaking around and invading their privacy will only create more trust issues and distance in the relationship. It's also important to recognize that everyone has the right to make their own choices, and your wife's decision to pursue a relationship outside of your marriage may not have been a reflection of your worth or your relationship. It's best to have a direct and honest conversation with her about your feelings and what you need in the relationship moving forward. If the communication between you two becomes too difficult to handle, seeking outside help from a professional therapist could be beneficial for both of you. It's important to take time to reflect on your own feelings and needs, and be honest with yourself about what you want from this relationship. The most important thing is to approach the conversation with your wife with compassion and understanding, and try to find a solution that works for both of you. Remember that relationships are a two-way street, and both partners need to be willing to compromise and work together in order to maintain a healthy and happy relationship. If the relationship is not fulfilling your needs, it may be time to consider if this is the right relationship for you. Either way, taking steps to improve your relationship and address the issues at hand is important for moving forward in a positive direction. Lastly, we would like to invite you to share your opinions and thoughts on these stories in the comments below. In conclusion, the stories I shared highlights the importance of being aware of one's actions and the consequences they may bring. It serves as a reminder to always treat others with kindness and respect. I hope this story has been informative and thought-provoking for you. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more interesting content. We will be back with more engaging stories and discussions, so make sure to hit that notification bell to stay updated. See you soon.